Ever since my daughter was in middle school, she gave me the nickname Podge. And ever since then, that's what my daughter calls me, that's what all of her friends call me. We were always super close, and I was really worried when she was going off to college that maybe we'd grow apart a little bit more. So I just sort of racked my brain, what could I do to try to stay as connected to her as possible? So I came up with the idea that every Sunday, I would record a 5-minute episode about the kind of topics we might normally talk about, send it to her Monday morning, and then she could watch it on her way to campus. I thought it'd be a good idea to resurrect that. They'll be the kinds of topics that I would talk to my now 25-year-old daughter, or the younger version of myself, or people that I mentor, or maybe you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Coffee with Podge. Today's topic is health and fitness. So I have to say, I think this is one that really sometimes doesn't get the full attention that it deserves. Now you've got all these biohacking conferences and biohacking experts and so forth, and it is mostly around longevity and all of that, and that's super important. But just in terms of like overall professional performance, happiness, contentment, whatever you want to call it, there's probably nothing more important than your health. There was some monk who I saw had a quote on X, on Twitter, sometime here in the last month or so, and he said something I'm paraphrasing, something along the lines of, when you're healthy, you have lots of problems. When you're sick, you have only one problem. If you've ever had a toothache, an earache, a migraine, really bad case of the flu, all of a sudden, all of your other problems, like everything else, gets put on the back burner because nothing's more important than your health and wellness. So just from a pure performance standpoint too, when you think about it, what got me thinking about this topic was I literally just came back. I do a workout every morning at 6 a.m. My wife and I do a 40-minute workout together at this gym we really like. And I got to tell you, it's like you start the day that way. Your mental clarity is so much better. Your energy level for the whole day, it's just like, I generally, it actually also helps you get a good night's sleep, which helps you wake up refreshed and so forth. But you start the day that way. And the other thing too is it also de-stresses you, right? So, you might have a lot going on that day and you've got your big to-do list, and you start the day with a really good hard workout, and your stress level is lower, you're mentally more focused and clear, and you're just going to be able to get a lot more done. The other thing that I think people grossly underestimate is, like, obviously if you're going to a personal trainer, you don't want to go to a fat personal trainer or a fat dietitian. But I would argue that in business in general, when you are not healthy and fit, you don't look like you take good care of yourself, it's also sending this signal that this is a person who doesn't have their life in control. They're either can't make time to exercise, or don't have the discipline and control to eat healthy, whatever that might be. And so I think people really underestimate how much your physical appearance, and it doesn't mean you have to be the most handsome guy in the world, but just being fit sends the signal that, hey, this is a guy or gal that, has their life reasonably together because they're able to have the discipline necessary to do that. The other thing is your overall well-being. Obviously you have someone like a Steve Jobs who would have given up all of the money, probably even just to have another 5 years. He would have given up his billions of dollars. And you can have all the money in the world, but you can't take it with you. In fact, that's the one thing that levels the playing field for everybody, is it's going to end for all of us at some point, and no one can take anything with them. So, if you're not healthy, then none of the rest of it will matter. And I think a lot of people too, they put off so many of the things that they want to do till later in life when they're retired. And if you're not mobile, able to do all the kinds of things, my dad's in his early 80s now, and he just recently retired. And for someone in his early 80s, he's really quite fit and so forth. But still, it's a lot less than he could have done even 10 or 15 years ago. As I mentioned before, your sleep quality. So people, I went to Brian Johnson had a Don't Die Summit here in Miami that I went to a few weeks ago, and he really prioritized the fact that yes, diet, exercise those are both super important, but the foundation is a good night's sleep. And there is no doubt about the fact that exercising, on a regular basis is going to help your sleep, and your sleep will help everything else. It will actually help you with your diet. It will help you with your exercise. So they kind of feed on each other. And then, as I said before, it's not just trying to increase your lifespan, but what Peter Attia calls a health span, which is how much of your actual life are you able to do all the things you want to be able to do. Everything from being able to hike up a mountain, have sex, be able to go on a long hike, all those things. And then the other thing is just from a pure happiness standpoint, it gets your endorphins flowing. You're going to be in a better mood. You're going to be in a better mood. Plus you also, especially like I prefer to do it at the start of the day. Some people, their optimal time to do it is, lunchtime. Some people do it after work, obviously to each his own. But for me, starting the day with that small win, like, hey, I got my workout in. That really is big. And, I would also say too, when people think about health and wellness and things like exercise, it isn't necessarily about going for a David Goggins, hard 15-mile run. Going for an hour walk, 45-minute walk, just to clear your head, get your blood flowing, you'd be amazed how useful that is. In fact, I basically substituted runs for walks just because a walk de-stresses me in a way that a run doesn't, because I get super competitive with myself and I'm looking at my split times and all that kind of stuff. So, and then, the last thing I would say too is, especially if you're doing it at a gym, it's also a way to basically be making, a social connection. I actually know a good number of people that do a tremendous amount of business networking at the gym. You have this shared struggle, this shared, thing that's important to you. And it's just a natural way to connect with people. And there's probably, the gym or any kind of fitness center, probably aren't too many better places to connect. Definitely better than at a place where, maybe bar or place where it's just consumer alcohol and people are drunk and things like that. Anyway, so really, really think about it. You've got to, if you want to prioritize your professional success, your physical, mental, and emotional well-being, making sure that you're taking care of your sleep, your diet, and your exercise. I don't know if there's any more important foundation. People have been able to do it without that foundation, but it's so much easier with that foundation, and it's a much easier journey. Anyway, next episode of Coffee with Podge. Hope you can join me.